Hey everybody, Don Georgievich here with Job Interview Tools. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to properly introduce yourself in a job interview and make a great first impression. Now, there's three types of interviews. You have the kind where you drive to the employer's office, you have the kind where you meet with them on Skype or Zoom, and then you have telephone interviews. And the way you introduce yourself in any one of those interview settings is slightly different. But don't worry, because I'm going to walk you through each style of interview and tell you exactly what to say and how to say it. Now, before we get started, if you like this channel and you want to get notifications every time I release a new video, please subscribe. And if at the end of this video you like it, please give it a thumbs up. This helps me understand the type of content that you like and that you want me to create more of. So let's talk about the most common type of interview first, where you drive to an employer's office. Now, when I used to interview for jobs, I would show up like an hour before the interview, and I would just sit in my car. I would review my notes, I would review the job description, and I would get intimately familiar with the challenges that they're facing, the first year accountabilities, everything that they want someone to do in this role. I would read it over and I would just feel it. And then I would visualize myself in the role like I already worked there. And what this would do is raise my emotional state to the highest possible level, where I feel so good about myself and the value that I can bring to this organization if they were to hire me. And I just keep thinking it over and over and living it and seeing myself doing this job. And what this does is this makes me feel so good about the value that I can bring that I can't help but make a great first impression. So the next thing to do is get out of your car and walk up into the office. And I usually get to the office about 10 minutes before the interview, because I don't want to show up like 30 minutes and sit in their waiting area. They'll be like, don't you have anything else to do? And plus, it makes them feel uncomfortable. So aim to get to your interview about 10 minutes before it's ready to start. And when you walk into the reception area and you're greeted, you can just simply say, hey, I'm Don, and I'm here for the interview for the programmer analyst position. And then that's all you need to do. They'll ask you to sit down and wait to be called, and then within 10 minutes, the hiring manager will come out and he or she will likely introduce themselves, be like, hello, Don, this is Bill, and why don't you come on back? And then they'll invite you back to a room, a boardroom, an office, or something like that, where you'll sit down with the hiring manager and maybe a couple of other people. I don't know. It just depends. So let's say you walk into a room, and let's say there's 3 or 4 people already in there, and you're not sure how to introduce yourself to, all of those people. I mean, do you walk around and shake all of their hands? I don't. All I do is, when I first meet the hiring manager, I shake their hand and I say, hey, I'm Don Georgievich. It's great to meet you. And then, they walk you back, you go into the room. And then if there's several other people in there, all I do is I simply say, hey, I'm Don Georgievich. It's great to meet all of you. And I leave it at that. I don't say anything else. I don't go around and say, hello, Bill, hello, Sally, hello, James. I don't do any of that. I just do the blanket, hello, I'm Don Georgievich. It's great to meet all of you. And then we sit down for the interview. So after you sit down, they're probably going to ask you to introduce yourself to the group or tell us a little bit more about you. Now, this is not an opportunity for you to start selling yourself and talking about accomplishments. All you want to do is tell them how you got started doing what you're doing, or why you're interested in what you do, and some of the places that you've worked at, and where you see yourself going. That's really about it, because it's an introduction. You're just telling them about you, what you like to do, and where you see yourself going. Anything more becomes a sales pitch. And the first thing you do when you sit down for an interview is you don't want to start selling yourself. The selling comes later. The selling comes after you've already talked to them about the job and that you're actually interested in it. Then you can go into the sales pitches. This is just the introduction. And remember, those first impressions last a lifetime. So you want to give them a brief introduction that just skims over who you are, what you're looking for, what you like about it, where you see yourself going. And that's about it. And then the interview is going to take on its own course, and I have other videos for that. So let's talk about the second type of interview, where you meet your interviewer over Skype. Now, this is similar to face-to-face, but slightly different. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to join the Skype session or the Zoom session, and I usually like to show up for those maybe 5 minutes ahead of time. You don't need to sit in the Zoom waiting area for 10 minutes, but 5 minutes is good. Now, you want to go through the same preparation that I talked about when you're meeting the employer at their office. So you're not going to sit in your car and visualize yourself working there, but you can do that from the comfort of your desk or your home, and you go through the same process. Visualize yourself in the role, see yourself in the role, and then that's going to condition you for meeting your employer over Skype. Now, the first thing they're going to do is when you both join on, a lot of people like to go, hello, hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Don't do any of that. All you have to do is simply say, hey, this is Don. I'm here for the interview, and can you hear me okay? That's the first thing I want to know is if they can hear me. And then if they can hear me, I say, hey, can you see me okay? And then we move on. Now, if they can't hear or see you, well, that one's on you. Now, another thing I like to do for a Skype interview, I hate using webcams because the webcam microphone, well, it just sucks. So what I like to do is I have a headset, and I like to put it on, and this allows me to hear exactly everything the employer is saying. I don't have to listen through it through my PC speakers or my iPhone. I hear it right into my ear so it's crystal clear, and I have a microphone. So I don't have to transmit my voice over this long distance to my webcam microphone. This allows the employer to hear me very clearly. And this thing is actually pretty cool. This plugs right into my iPhone. No sales pitch for an iPhone here, but this plugs right in, and this allows me to take my Skype conversations anywhere I want to go. So if you've ever had a meeting with me over Skype, you'll know that I always have headphones on and I have a microphone right by my mouth. I would suggest that you do something similar. You can get a set like this probably, for $50. Really inexpensive, but makes such a huge difference, makes a huge impression. Because if you have an interview over Skype and your microphone isn't very good, or they can't quite hear you, or you can't hear them, then the quality of your first impression goes down. So you want to do everything you can to make that the best it can be. So after all of that, and you guys finally connect on Skype, and you can hear and see each other, the next thing they might say is, hey, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you're looking for? Then you go down through the same road. You talk about, what you're looking for, what you like about the things that you do, some of the things that you've done, and where you see yourself going. And then the interview is going to take on its course. Now, while you're doing this, while you're going through this, you always want to be, you don't always want to be smiling, but you do want to smile, because a smile is a way to release tension. And you always want to be looking at them. You want to be talking clearly. You never want to just be like, hey, I'm Don, I'm here for the interview. I mean, can you imagine for a second with the opening line I used for this video was, hello, I'm Don. I'm going to teach you how to make a great first impression on your interview. You would have clicked away in 2 seconds. The only reason you're still here is because I think I made a great first impression on introducing this video to you. And you want to do the same to an employer. Otherwise, they're essentially going to click away from you too. So always use a crystal clear, strong, deep voice. Look at your interviewer clearly, whether you're doing face-to-face or whether you're doing Zoom. It can be a little bit harder over Zoom because if you're looking at your camera, it kind of might be up high, and then your interviewer won't think that you're looking at them. But you kind of have to just play with that and find something that works for you. But especially over any type of Zoom call, your audio quality is very important. Visual quality, not as much. All right, so let's move on to the last form of interview, which is the old-fashioned telephone interview. Now, if you get a call for an interview, it's very simple. All you have to do when they call and you say, hello, this is Don. I'm here to talk about the interview. And that's all you got to do. I'm here to talk about the interview for the programmer analyst position, whatever it is. And that's it. You don't have to go into any long spiel, just a very brief introduction. And then you move on. And then they may or may not go into telling you about yourself, because that question doesn't always seem to come up in a phone interview. What's more likely in a phone interview is to say, hey, can you tell us a little bit more about what you're looking for? Which is different than tell me about yourself. So if you get that question, what are you looking for? Don't be caught off guard. Just simply walk them through your criteria for a job. If you are in the information technology field or you're in web security, cybersecurity, whatever it is, just tell them, these are the kinds of things that I've been doing, and these are the kinds of things that I'm looking for. And what they want to do is they want to qualify you. That's more of what a phone interview is than anything. It's a qualification interview. And the only reason they didn't invite you in person is because they want a short interview to find out if they want to go to the next step. So a phone interview is very brief. You don't want to give long-winded answers. Everything needs to be short and on point. And in a phone interview, you're never really selling yourself. You're never going through and talking about all the great things that you've done and why they should hire you. All that is selling. And that comes later. That comes after you guys have come to a point where you like what they have and they like what they see. Then you can talk about why you're the best person for the job. But the phone interview generally is not the place for that. So there you are, my friend. You got 3 ways to introduce yourself and make a great first impression in a job interview. But more than anything, to get you to the point where you're going to make that first impression is the conditioning. And that's where you need to become intimately familiar with what they're looking for and feel good about yourself that you can make a valuable contribution. And only then is your body and your mind going to do everything else and put it all together for you so that you go in and you make a great, solid first impression. And always smile. Always smile. Not constantly smiling, but make sure that you smile throughout the process. It's going to relax you. It's going to relax them. It's going to humanize you instead of someone who's just in there talking straight-faced all the time. I mean, who wants to hire somebody like that? You want to crack a smile. You want to show them you're a real person. And more than anything, your voice. Your voice makes such a huge difference. I mean, if you're just really talking soft all the time, or you're talking really loud all the time, you want to balance that out. You want to match your interviewer's style. If they're a fast talker and you're a slow talker, try to speed your rate of speech up a little bit. If they're a slow talker and you're a fast talker, try to slow down. But for most of us, just our normal speaking rhythm is going to be fine. But you need to be aware of it, and you need to adapt to it, and you need to be heard. All right, so I guess that's all I have for you, but I got one more thing. Before your next interview, I want to give you a free gift. Head on over to jobinterviewtools.com/top10, put in your name and email address, tell me where to send this, and I will send you my top 10 interview questions, which are going to walk you through how to answer. Tell me about yourself. Why do you want to work here? What are your greatest strengths? It even has 12 questions to ask your interview. So it's a really cool book. And because you're here today, you're watching me, I want to give it to you absolutely free. So head on over to jobinterviewtools.com/top10. Tell me where to send it. I'll get it out to you in a couple of minutes. Now, that is all I have for you. And remember, if you like this channel, and you like the kinds of things that we're doing here, please subscribe. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate it. Take care. We'll see you in the next video. Bye now.